He chose to leave on his terms. Contestant number 5, Larry, due to a food shortage, will explore the mountain across today. Although it seems to consume a lot of energy, not taking action would eventually lead to starvation and quitting the competition. Instead of waiting, he takes the initiative. He discovered a lot of wolf feces, indicating a communal living area for these animals. Larry had to change his route. Soon after, the beautiful scenery deeply moved him, making him marvel at the charm of the Mongolian wilderness. Day 40 arrives with only 3 contestants left. Contestant number 8, Britt, was shocked to find that the hot water he boiled last night had frozen overnight. The biting cold is daunting and can shatter the contestants' morale. Approaching the river, Britt sees that the shore is also frozen, quashing any hopes of fishing. In such cold, fish that don't move to deeper waters would likely freeze to death. Contestant number 1, Sam, feels frightened by today's weather. The extreme cold means he must gather more firewood. It has been a week since Sam had any protein, and even pulling up a dead tree exhausts him. However, he needs to bring the firewood back to camp for warmth. Contestant number 5, Larry, made himself a pair of snow goggles today. Snow goggles, which date back 2,000 years to the Arctic Inuit, protect one's eyes in snowy environments, preventing snow blindness caused by excessive exposure to UV rays reflected off the snow. Feeling lonely, Larry has been crafting small items to distract himself. Whenever he pauses, he thinks of his family. Mongolia, unlike Vancouver Island, has no beaches lined with clams and seaweed. Without hunting, there is no food. Now his only food source is a few mouse traps. The longer he stays in the wilderness, the more he craves his family, not just for company, but for their salvation. Overwhelmed by longing, lacking the energy to keep busy, Larry has had enough. He decides to follow his heart and return to his family, choosing to withdraw from the competition. Though it's a sad ending, every stroke of his journey is his own making, and he will not regret his decision today. On day 41, only 2 contestants remain. Day 41, Britt wakes up to find the world blanketed in heavy snow. Amidst the cold, there's a slight joy in the beautiful snowy scenery. He won't forget the fun all contestants had playing in the snow. Returning to his shelter, maintaining a warm fire inside is essential to prevent the snow from crushing his shelter. As the rooftop snow begins to melt, he must go out to gather firewood. On his way, Britt is surprised to find animal tracks. The snow covering Mongolia's wilderness also reveals the trails of traveling animals. Following these tracks, Britt sets traps at strategic spots. On the same snowy day, contestant number 1, Sam, treats himself to an ice cream and doesn't believe the snow will defeat him. Today, he's setting traps based on animal tracks, deducing their habitual paths back and forth, and placing traps in the middle of these routes, which increases the likelihood of capturing them as animals tend to stick to familiar paths, back to their dens. Day 43 arrives. Contestant number 1, Sam, dreamt of his children last night. He is now a father to 2 and feels immense pressure. Time flies. He was just married when the first season aired. Now providing for his family is his top priority. The cold and hunger seem trivial compared to his family's needs. He eagerly awaits his family's arrival to pick him up. Like Sam, contestant number 8, Britt, is also driven by his family. Without his marriage and child, he might have left the competition earlier. Imagining a better life for his family with the prize money $500,000 or 3.6 million yuan, he recognizes this rare opportunity and refuses to give up easily. Both contestants are enduring through sheer willpower. However, in the wilderness, perseverance alone is not enough. They need food, fire, and to suppress the urge to go home. Although the show might seem fast-paced to viewers, only they know the slow, exhausting crawl of each day. They are struggling in the snow, barely surviving on meager food. Truly a testament to their grit for their families. Day 56 arrives, and with it, the crew. This breaks the deadlock for the 2 remaining contestants. One of them decides to leave the competition. As the camera focuses on Britt, he is visibly disappointed with his decision. But physically and mentally, he has reached his limit. As an accountant who neither hunts nor builds cabins, his persistence has been fueled by sheer determination. If he stayed any longer, he might break down. He hopes his family will understand. As a husband, he has given his all to the wilderness. Despite his limited abilities and not winning, he is profoundly grateful to himself for enduring until now. Today, day 56, marks the end of his journey as an accountant in an unimaginable scenario. Contestant number 8, Britt, concludes his journey, finishing as the runner-up. Day 60 has arrived, and only one contestant remains. Contestant Sam is the last one standing and the soon-to-be champion. One might wonder why the crew took 4 days after Britt's departure on day 56 to reach the wilderness. The delay was due to the crew fetching Sam's family, complicated by heavy snow in Mongolia and the challenging terrain. Today, Sam is scheduled for a medical checkup, a routine procedure in the wilderness to assess contestants' health and determine if they can continue in the competition. Sam, however, is not worried. He had intentionally gained a significant amount of weight before the competition, preparing by eating excessively. During an interview, Sam couldn't hold back his tears. Although he always emphasized his determination to endure for his family, he is just a regular 26-year-old man who isn't as strong as he imagined. As the camera shifts to his wife, Sydney, standing behind him, Sam turns and sees her, realizing he has won. Overwhelmed with relief, he cries like a child and excitedly babbles about his plans. He has waited long for this day, to buy a car and a house. Simple dreams that the prize money from the show will fulfill. Sam is grateful to himself for not giving up and persevering to victory. No scene could match his pride at this moment. As a victor, he tours his makeshift home with his wife, marking a turning point in his life. The $500,000 prize will transform his ordinary life. In the flashy world that often distracts young people from substantial thoughts, surviving in the raw conditions of nature has simplified his perspective. The world isn't as complicated as it seems. You are who you are, living authentically without concern for others' opinions. Congratulations to Sam for winning the championship. Here is the Arctic Circle. 10 contestants will embark on a survival challenge here. The last remaining contestant will win $500,000. Day 1 arrives. 10 contestants remain. The first contestant, Barry, 49, takes the stage. He surveys the surrounding area, noting many small groves. The helicopter's landing spot offers a clear view. He easily observes the terrain around him. Barry, a self-defense instructor, has undergone extensive formal training and wilderness survival skills. His physical condition is very strong. Traditionally, winners are often overweight, but Barry has not only ample fat, but also robust muscles. While observing the terrain, Barry needs to be careful of cliff crevices. Snow begins in the Arctic Circle as early as August, covering everything with a blanket of white. These cliffs mixed with trees can easily cause injuries. Reaching a flat area and starting a fire, Barry notices many squirrels in the surrounding trees. He decides to set up traps. Rope traps are the most common and easiest to arrange. When animals pass, they trigger the rope, which tightens when they move due to panic. After setting up, Barry spots a squirrel in a nearby treetop, an easy target for his bow and arrow. He shoots and secures his first protein source of the competition. The innards can also serve as bait for fishing, a great start. The focus shifts to contestant number 2, Nikki, 44. She is collecting berries. Her first challenge in the wilderness is handling the camera equipment, which weighs 65 pounds. She needs to carry it to a suitable location to build a shelter. Nikki, an outdoor guide and commercial fisherman, is well versed in primitive survival. She believes she doesn't need to define herself by her gender. Nikki and her friends have survived in the wild near Vancouver for a year and a half, legally hunting 2 black bears and a mountain lion using traps. Her ability to include such formidable animals in her hunting range is unquestionable. Encountering spicy strips near her home is just a routine for her. Now, surviving in the Arctic Circle, she considers the extreme weather to be the biggest challenge. Once it starts snowing, it will be hard to find food. She needs to collect as much food as possible early on. While gathering mushrooms, she hears a nearby rustle and comes face to face with a bobcat. She's thrilled, inadvertently licking her lips. Unfortunately, the Canadian bobcat is an endangered species. The good news is, the presence of bobcats indicates abundant food nearby. Contestant number 3, Nathan, 39 years old, attempted to shoot a squirrel in a tree with his bow and arrow. Not only did he miss the squirrel, but his arrow got stuck in a tree branch. To retrieve his equipment, he had to start chopping the tree, which quickly used up some of his energy. He decided not to build his shelter in this location. Nathan's job is a designer, but he also works as a farmer, biologist, and carpenter, making him a jack of all trades. He joined the competition, aiming for the prize money. He doesn't own a farm, he rents one, and he is determined to buy his own by giving his all in this competition. Contestants were allowed only 10 items, and Nathan did not bring a fire starter, confident in his fire-making skills. However, after hours, he failed to start a fire, which seemed overly confident and could potentially lead to his elimination. This is the Arctic Circle. Without fire, he had to build a temporary shelter. At night, a moose wandered past his shelter, caught on camera, making the next day tense for Nathan. He needed to get a fire going to keep wild animals away. Fortunately, he eventually succeeded in starting a fire, providing some comfort. Nathan also made a fishing net, anchored with sticks. When he checked it in the afternoon, he found a catch, a rainbow trout, which can grow up to 90 kilo and 1.2 meters long. Nathan was the first contestant to gather such an amount of food. Contestant number 4, Tim, 55 years old, gained a significant amount of weight for the competition, now weighing 204 pounds. He knew that all technical skilled contestants had previously lost, while those with more fat had won. Tim's profession is a hunting instructor, and hunting is his skill. He boldly built his shelter directly on an animal trail, ready to shoot any passing animal. After setting up, he explored the area, hoping to find traces of prey. While walking near water, he slipped on moss and fell backward, dislocating his knee. The intense pain nearly made him faint. He urgently called the rescue team, who quickly arrived. Clearly, Tim lost his eligibility to continue in the competition. He had prepared extensively and even gained weight for the show, but now it was all in vain. His dislocated knee and fracture required immediate medical treatment. In the wilderness, it's not just hunger and loneliness that can eliminate you, but also such unforeseen accidents. Tim was thus eliminated from the competition. On day 6, 9 contestants remain. Contestant number 5, Downey, 38, has completed his shelter. Although simple, it provides protection from wind and rain. Today, he plans to use moss to fill the gaps in all the walls, which, despite being a large task, will greatly enhance insulation. Downey is a veteran and currently runs a wilderness survival school. He isn't short of money and has strong survival skills. His main reason for joining the show is that he was diagnosed with severe heart disease this year. Wanting to live without regrets, he ventured into the Arctic Circle to demonstrate his lifelong skills rather than waiting to die in a hospital. In the wilderness, food is both crucial and challenging to obtain. Today, Downey plans to make a throwing stick, a solid piece of wood strong enough to break a deer's leg. Later, with his hunting bow, he heads near the water, and by some bushes, he spots something unusual, a muskrat's den with the muskrat lingering at the entrance. He quickly shoots an arrow and successfully captures it. Muskrat meat is significantly more substantial than ordinary rats, and larger types can grow to the size of a bamboo rat. Tonight, he enjoys the roasted meat, which is rich in protein, and saves the organs as bait. However, the good times don't last. At night, he starts to suffer from stomach pain and fever, showing signs of food poisoning. Despite carefully inspecting the organs and thoroughly cooking the meat, he spends the night with severe symptoms. By the next morning, Downey is still nauseous, even with an empty stomach. Suffering from both fever and the effects of his heart condition, he feels close to giving up. The situation in the Arctic is unimaginable for an adult to endure such discomfort. On the second day, with no improvement, he has no choice but to call for rescue and needs to go to the hospital for a stomach wash. Regrettably, despite his survival skills and determination to leave no regrets, Downey is eliminated due to food poisoning. Contestant number 6, Jordan, 35, is the leanest among all participants. Upon arriving, he immediately set up many traps, not wanting to be eliminated due to a lack of food or poor physical condition. Jordan grew up on a farm and lived with Siberian reindeer herders for 5 years. The terrain and weather there are very similar to the current competition setting, part of which is actually in the Arctic Circle. His background will aid him in this contest. However, his starting point is disadvantageous, with only a small patch of forest in sight, and the rest scarred by a large fire, likely causing fewer land animals in his area. Contestant number 2, Nikki, has a better start, able to pick many berries daily. To balance her diet, she plans to make a mousetrap today. While crafting a V-shaped stick, She accidentally cuts her hand with a dagger. Despite the continuous bleeding, she disinfects the wound using medical alcohol and does not consider quitting the competition. She now avoids delicate tasks to prevent infection, but remains active, chopping down trees with one hand and staying optimistic about her injury. Contestant number 7. Ray, 43, found a beach spot favored by seagulls today, indicating richer fish presence. Curious about nature since his teens and having started bow hunting at 14, Ray has a unique understanding of nature. Declaring his aim to win upon joining, his friends and family describe him as a natural-born wild man. At the seagull spot, he tries fishing and soon catches a small lake trout, which can grow up to 1.2 meters. He welcomes any catch, big or small. Contestant number 8, Michelle, 31, is one of the female participants. She lacks strong hunting skills and has not eaten decent food since the competition began. Michelle, from rural Canada, has enjoyed setting traps and fishing since childhood. Today, while exploring the beach, she found a valuable item, a complete oil drum. This could be used as a small boat or a fishing cage. In the wilderness, it could be of great help. Ultimately, she decided to use the barrel as a trap to avoid the risk of falling into the water in the Arctic. She added several balancing stakes to the barrel and tied hooks and bait to them. The barrel was then pushed into the sea and could be pulled back periodically with a rope to check the catch. By day 9 of the competition, 8 contestants remain. Contestant number 6, Jordan, 35, made a significant gain this morning as his traps have been particularly successful, catching 4 rabbits just this morning. However, like many foreigners, he does not use the hot water method for removing fur and simply skins the rabbits, leaving only the bare muscles, taking away the precious fat and fur, which he feels is a waste. Contestant number 9, Wania, 42, has spent the first week building a shelter and stuffing every gap with branches to make it airtight. A veteran, Wania is also knowledgeable about various plants. Contestant number 3, Nathan, returned to the beach today to check his fishing nets, enjoying another day of abundant catch. The big fish, especially the red-spotted silver carp, were noticeably large underwater. Fortunately, he caught a female fish, which also provided a lot of fish roe. This is considered a delicacy, and Nathan couldn't resist consuming 2 big spoonfuls. The fish roe will also serve as ready-made fishing bait, although it's uncertain if fish would eat roe from their species. However, his habit of eating raw foods ultimately caused him trouble. Just last season, a contestant was eliminated due to food poisoning. After consuming the fish roe, Nathan suffered severe stomach pain, as if he had acute gastroenteritis. Unable to even handle the fish, he thought to rest in hopes the roe would digest on its own. Sadly, he couldn't bear it and had to step outside his shelter, vomiting as if he had acute gastroenteritis. Regrettably, there is no cure for regret. If given the chance, he would not choose to swallow the roe raw again. He suspects that the salmon had been dead too long in the net, causing the roe to harbor bacteria. Contestant 1, Barry, today. Barry planned to go hunting and had his equipment fully prepared. However, shortly after stepping outside, he found discarded cans on the ground. This discovery quickly changed his plan. After collecting 6 cans, he returned to his shelter to make traps, forgetting his original intention of hunting. Contestant 10, Brady. As the last contestant to appear this season, Brady has completed his shelter. Today, he plans to collect berries on the top of the hill. Brady is a survival expert and a former Air Force veteran. His skills are comprehensive. A devoted husband, Brady's wife was diagnosed with severe rheumatoid arthritis right after they got married, spending most of her time in a wheelchair for the past 8 years. Brady joined the show clearly for the prize money to provide better medical care for his wife and ensure that their children do not worry about money in the future. While exploring the hills, Brady found a large pile of muskox bones with some flesh still attached to the vertebrae. He decided not to waste this meat. Instead of eating it himself, he collected it to use as fishing bait. Deeper inside, he found the skull of the musk ox, a natural decorative item. Bringing it back to his shelter would certainly add a touch of class. Upon returning, the first thing he did was to try fishing with the collected meat. The stronger the smell of the rotten meat, the more the fish liked it. He successfully caught a large red-spotted silver carp, fortunately a male, otherwise he might have considered trying some fresh fish roe. Contestant 7, Ray, today. Ray was wandering near his shelter and found pine trees, but had no bow and arrow. He returned to his shelter to make a trap, which is especially suited for capturing small rodents. He only needed to set it up under a tree and add bait. If prey touched the bait, it would immediately tighten. In the afternoon, Ray went out with his hunting bow to check the traps. Before he reached them, he spotted a squirrel, drew his bow, and successfully hunted it. After bringing the squirrel home, he ate it, hoping that no other squirrels had been caught in his traps. Otherwise, he might have a difficult night. Contestant 8, Michelle. Today, Michelle went to the coast to retrieve the oil drum traps she had set up. It was a tough task to pull them in, and unfortunately, they were empty. However, Michelle did not feel discouraged. Having grown up in the countryside, she has always enjoyed setting traps.